Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP straight up slaps a Karen. Am I the butthole for slapping a woman that was protecting my baby? I'm a 31-year-old guy and my wife Ashley is 29. We welcomed our healthy baby boy, Ned, into the world 6 months ago. My wife's brother, Mike, is 24 and he has special needs. He's had many medical issues since birth and is different than most people. However, he's the kindest and most fun person to be around, especially when he's talking about sports. When Ned was born, Mike was very hesitant about holding him, but was also very curious about him. This last month, Mike actually wanted to hold Ned. My wife and I were thrilled. We do have rules in place for Mike holding Ned, but Mike likes the rules. Mike needs to be sitting down when he holds Ned, and then either me, my wife, or Mike's parents need to be around. A week ago, a family member of Ashley, Lily, was graduating high school and was throwing a party with her best friend, Anna. We know both the girls and we wanted to go celebrate with them. Mike wanted to come, but his parents didn't, which was totally fine, so we brought him. My wife Ashley was on an outdoor patio couch talking with Don while I had Ned. I was talking to a coworker who happened to be a friend of Anna's family. Mike came up and asked to hold Ned, so we went over to Ashley and he sat down. I gave Ned to Mike and asked Ashley if she needed a water since I was going to grab a beer from the cooler. I went to get a drink, and I was talking with my coworker when a woman, Karen, started screeching, saying, "He shouldn't be touching that baby." We live in a place heavily influenced by certain religions, and she was saying how someone like Mike shouldn't be holding babies. She was screaming that Mike would drop Ned and hurt him, and how everyone was just ignoring it. Ashley asked the woman to stop yelling and stood up. Ashley told Mike that he was fine, but the woman kept screaming that he was going to hurt Ned. The screaming got Mike flustered, which in turn made Ned start crying. Ashley took Ned from Mike, who instantly started covering his ears. I went over to help, and at this point, Ashley was asking the woman to stop and to leave them alone. Karen responded with, "How could a mother let an abomination from God hold on to an innocent baby? He's going to hurt the baby now and in the future." As she was yelling, she was getting closer to my wife and pointing at Mike over and over. Before I reached her, my wife turned and slapped the Karen across the face. Karen finally stopped yelling. At this point, I took Ned from Ashley. Some guy came over and grabbed the Karen, who was freaking out that Ashley had hit her. Ashley told Karen that if she keeps yelling, she would give her a black eye and to walk away with just a handprint on her face. A family friend was able to help get the Karen away from us. Ashley had to lift Mike off the couch and guide him to the car so that we could leave. I grabbed Ned's stuff and went to the car where Mike was crying and apologizing for hurting Ned. Ashley was crying and telling him that he did nothing wrong. Then OP posts a pretty long paragraph explaining how they were just kind of dealing with the fallout and they put Mike in therapy, which I'm not going to read because it's a bit dry. However, I will read this part. Karen found Ashley on social media and has messaged her along with some friends and family. From what I gathered, she's only telling people that she was protecting the baby and my wife hit her for no reason. The Karen has threatened to sue, but as of today, she's done nothing. My wife vented to one of her friends in her mommy and me class that ended up telling everyone what happened. All the moms say that my wife went too far when striking the woman. This has made my wife wonder if her protective instincts were too much. She was worried for her child and her brother's safety, and she didn't want to give Karen the chance to get physical. So it's super easy to say that the Karen here is just a scumbag. That's not really in question. But whether she went too far in the violence, honestly, I think you could go either way on this. I think people saying starting violence when it was a non-violent situation is just kind of inherently bad, and I understand the logic there. But also, she was defending her disabled brother, which, I can definitely get behind. So I guess it's up to the individual to decide if violence was taking it too far. Either way, I'm giving your wife 0 out of 5 buttholes, and I'm giving the Karen 3 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for reminding my friend that she married for intelligence and look where it got her? I'm a 35-year-old woman, and I met my husband, Vince, who's 36, after he saved me from drowning at a pool party when I was 18. Aw, romantic! I took him out for lunch the following week to thank him for saving me, and we soon fell in love and began dating. That's super sweet! That's such a cute love story. Okay, At the time, Vince worked a blue-collar job while I was studying in university. We ended up getting married, and Vince supported me throughout my entire education up until I got my PhD. Vince always told me that he wanted to study in university, but he had learning disabilities that made it difficult for him to study in a classroom. At times, he was embarrassed by the fact that he had to work twice as hard compared to people around him, but I always found that to be admirable about him. When I finished my studies and got a well-paying job, I convinced my husband to give his dream of studying another go. Last year, he was finally accepted into a nursing program at our local university. He's working hard to achieve his dream, and I'm incredibly proud of him. Last week, my friend Alba, who's 36, came to visit with her son so our children could play together. Alba was my roommate during my first year in university. She began dating her husband, Leo, around the same time that I started dating Vince. Leo was an obnoxious law student who later on became an even more obnoxious attorney. He was a know-it-all who prided himself on his intelligence, which for some reason attracted Alba. At the time, Alba would sometimes tease me that I could do better than Vince and would offer to set me up with one of Leo's law school buddies. But I would always refuse, and she eventually dropped the subject. Alba and Leo are currently going through a nasty divorce that stems from him cheating on her. Quite frankly, he's dragging her through the mud, and he's using his connections to try to leave her as penniless as possible. As we were chatting and catching up, Alba began to express concern over the fact that my eldest son, who's 7, was recently diagnosed with dyslexia. Alba began telling me that she's worried that my son will be academically challenged like his father and what that could entail for his future. Before I could respond, she told me how I should have married someone smart while I had the chance so I would have kids like hers. Alba's son is an incredibly bright boy and a straight-A student. I told Alba that her advice was unnecessary, and I reminded her where marrying for intelligence got her. I then proceeded to tell her that I would rather have my son grow up to be an honest, hardworking person like his father than an academically gifted jerk who wasn't smart enough to know that sleeping with his secretary could have consequences on his marriage like her husband. Alba was deeply hurt by what I said and stormed out with her son. Some mutual friends are now chiming in and telling me that I was too harsh on Alba for using her failing marriage to prove my point and that I should apologize. Okay, you can't criticize someone's marriage, but you can criticize someone's son? Criticizing children is way worse than criticizing marriage. I'll be honest with you guys, belittling a child's disability, them's fighting words. I believe you say something like that, you deserve to be punched in the face. Violence is wrong. People should never be violent, but punched in the face. Also, she's literally just wrong. Doesn't dyslexia have nothing to do whatsoever with intelligence? What causes dyslexia? It's because of a difference in how the brain processes information in the part of the brain that enables reading. Okay, so I don't really know what causes it. It also tends to be genetic. I didn't know that. Anyways, OP, I gave you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I give Alba 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for calling my sister-in-law to pay for her own breakfast bill? My father-in-law has breakfast every Saturday morning at a restaurant. He gets there at 6 a.m. when they open and usually stays until 8:30 or so. His kids and grandchildren drop in and out. Most don't stay the whole time, and they either pay their own checks on the way out or leave him cash to cover their bill and he pays before he leaves. Last Saturday, I showed up late. My wife and daughters waited for me. I ordered and everyone chatted while I ate. They went home while I went to the counter to pay the check. It was $171. I immediately asked for the itemized receipt, and after a bit of hesitation, the waitress provided it. I took one look, and I knew that I had been stuck with my sister-in-law's check too. The waitress confirmed that my sister-in-law had been there earlier and that she didn't pay before leaving. The waitress assumed that someone else would pay because sometimes people do that. I requested that she separate the checks. My family of 4 came out to $60. My sister-in-law's family of 3 was $111. Jeez, that is a lot of breakfast. My God, what did they order? The manager came over to discuss the situation and said there were 3 choices. 1, I could pay. 2, my sister-in-law could come in within 30 minutes and pay. Or 3, he would call the cops. I called my sister-in-law and she said that she was out of town and asked me to pay it and she would pay me later. I told her she could Venmo me or Cash App me right away, and then I'd pay it. She asked for the total, and I told her. She then asked what her share was, and I told her that was her share because we had separate checks. She didn't understand how breakfast for 3 people could be $111. I read her the ticket. Coffee, orange juice, milk, and a Coke for everyone. That's 4 times 3 each times 3 people, so $36. Double cheeseburger with fries, $15. Side of hash browns, $3. Add grilled onions and mushrooms, $2. Extra cheese, $2. Add bacon, $3 for $25. All meat omelet meal, $12. Add a side of bacon, $3. Stack of pancakes for $5, $20. French toast, $10. Add blueberries, $1. Add strawberries, $1. Add a side of bacon, $3. Add grits, $3. Add cheese, $2. That's $20. 55 burgers, 55 shakes, 55 hash browns. She said she didn't understand how it added up to be so much. I told her that was how her family always ordered, so I didn't understand how she didn't understand how all the extra things added up. But I wasn't willing to spend my whole Saturday dealing with it. She could either send me the money right away to pay her check, or I was leaving without paying it. She sent me the exact amount, no tip. I paid, tipped the waitress, and left. I told my wife, and my wife said that her sister never leaves enough to cover her bill. My sister-in-law called my father-in-law and complained that her day was ruined. They were planning to go to the open weekend of the water park and buy season passes, but they couldn't afford it after paying for breakfast. Now he thinks that I'm a jerk for putting her on the spot, knowing they probably couldn't afford $100 for breakfast. He says he forgot that she had been there and thinks that I should have just paid and asked for the money later, and says that he would have paid me if she didn't. So, am I the butthole for asking a 30-something-year-old woman to pay for her own forgotten breakfast check and insisting that she paid me right away because she has a history of not repaying debts? Okay, we all know what she was doing. This isn't some grand mystery. The basic plan is to order as much as possible, eat it, and then vanish, leaving OP with the check. It's a tale as old as time. What I'm really shocked about is how does someone drink coffee and orange juice and milk and Coke in a single meal? Not only does that seem physically difficult, it also sounds disgusting. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your sister-in-law 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for tricking my brother into selling me his half of our childhood home and then demolishing it? My mom and dad divorced when I was young. My brother loved the fact that our mom had no rules for him, so he went with her. I abided by the custody agreement because I had no choice in the matter. My mom loves us both, but she dotes on my brother like he farts perfume. My dad kept the house. He had to buy my mom out. It was an old house built in 1953. It had old wiring and was really less than suitable for modern life. What it did have, though, was a huge yard that was great growing up. My dad passed away during COVID. He left everything equally between my brother and I. I wanted the house. I told my brother that we should tear it down and put in infill housing like the neighborhood is zoned for. He just wanted money. So I bought out his half of the house at the market value. It was sold as a teardown. He took the money, bought a car, and went on vacation. He still has money left over. Then I had the house demolished and built a fourplex. Each unit has 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, a small yard, and a garage. I kept one unit for myself and rent each of the other units for $2,000 a month. The mortgage is $1,800 a month for the entire thing. So basically, I live free and bank about $4,000 a month. My brother is pissed that I didn't give him one of the units to live in since it was his home too. I actually offered to sell him one at cost and he said no. I'm lost. I offered him a partnership. I paid a fair price. I offered to sell him a unit. I did everything to try to be fair. He thinks I tricked him because I get free money every month. Our mom said that she would be cutting me out of her will and giving everything to him if I didn't give him a unit or the income from one of the units. I said, go ahead. Then I would no longer feel the need to contribute to her upkeep or retirement when the time came. Now I'm being bombarded by the two of them, but I took the risks. I took on the debt. This is my money now. Yeah, OP, it's super interesting that he expects you to give him a condo, but when he went out and bought a car, he didn't buy a car for you. So his money is his money, but your money is also his money. Funny how that works out. Must be great to fart perfume though. OP, you got a super duper easy 0 out of 5 buttholes, and I'm giving your mom and your brother, let's say 2 out of 5 buttholes. You're being spoiled entitled jerks. That was rSlash Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.